where he took kind of the weird third base. So it's kind of interesting to see how that worked for him. And as we get on into this, we have got to the top left-hand side our red Terran player. This is KeeN. Up against the blue Terran in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have got souL. So first game of this TvT here today as we get going. souL says this map's so great, plus for the author, so I think he likes it. We have got already here inhibitor zones on this map, so this is something that has been a part of the Team Liquid map contest tournament. These red blobs, or these red spheres, are little zones that reduce the movement speed of units inside them. Both ground units and air units are affected, and it's about a 35% movement slow. So they're not used too heavily on this map. There's just a couple of them, but that's enough to qualify it under the Challenge 2 section, I believe it is, for the TLMC. And so we have a blob here. You can see what the idea is, right? You slow units down going into the middle. You slow down units down as they go up into the high ground. So you kind of get the slows on, throughout the middle. It keeps things slow. It just slows it down altogether. And it means that you're generally looking to play around this area. Honestly, I kind of like this map when we saw it yesterday. We saw a bit of a weird third base being taken by MC. He took the third base down here. So taking this location, and he just sort of, it was just weird because look how far away it is from the natural, right? Compared to, say, if you defend over here in the third base, over here, I get it, right? Because there's like an area and over here, there's an attack path up there. If units come here, you're kind of split. So maybe the third base is in general just a bit weird to take on this map. I guess we'll see how it works in the TvT. As for TvT, by the way, it's going to be a tough one because I feel like this position here to then elevate it up into that main, that's going to be very powerful. That's going to be something to really watch out for. So that's something we're going to have to be a little bit careful about as we get this going and watch the players and see how they look to open. KeeN actually opened with a reactor expand, which he chooses to get a couple of Reapers coming up here right away. So 2 Reapers on the way up, the Hellion about to pop, and the Starport going to finish as well. So it's a little bit of a different build from KeeN, but the idea is there. souL opting to go for a pull out on gas for a little bit so he could afford this command center a little faster, and then he went into that factory, so he's got the Cyclone on the way up, and he's getting the Starport dropping down as well. So Starport dropping down. And just the traditional 1-1-1 setup from souL initially allows him to be fairly well set to go into the next stage of this game, as we're going to be seeing an SCV dropping down to the low ground, getting ready to throw down a command center perhaps. Well, it goes wandering back up. Just long distance mining actually at the moment, so getting a little bit of long distance in while he hasn't quite got himself the the full-on setup that he needs to, or the minerals that he needs to start building that CC. But obviously continues to build SCVs, wants to be at a good worker count. souL down a couple workers, but will start to catch up, of course, with this natural command center being done, as KeeN starts to come through the middle of the map. So he is coming across. There's a lot of Reapers, by the way. Like, this build in general actually looks pretty dangerous. I'm excited to see what truly comes of this, as we see a bunch of Reapers, Hellions coming down to the bottom right here, Cyclone coming forwards. I mean, there's not a lot to defend from souL. So this is just, so many units here. The Siege Tank, though, could be a big part of this, and that gets sieged up on the high ground. Well, if the Hellions don't get towards it, I actually think this is fine. A couple of SCVs pulled in, maybe didn't need to be. They get away safely anyways. Obviously, the medevac is here to lift up some of these units and get out. 2 more Reapers showing up, and they'll get out as well. Man, that Siege Tank was absolutely clutch, was completely necessary. Otherwise, it would not have been turned away. Going to see medevacs loading up a little bit once again, going to drop in towards the main base here. And just going to be seeing souL trying to play the chasing game. Has to pull a few SCVs though, careful of those Reapers. 1 SCV down, a second Reaper down now. Sorry, second SCV down. He gets 3 SCVs in the end. I mean, this is KeeN doing good damage as now his command center finishes, and he's still up by 2 workers. So up a couple of workers, I think we're in a position where souL is obviously still kind of okay. KeeN's kind of okay, but I think souL's kind of still fine too, right? It's not any sort of position where it's not going to be playable or anything. And these Reapers are starting to get a lot of damage done. They just picked up about 5 more SCV kills. Well, souL goes across the map, and I think that would be one of the smarter moves, but it feels like KeeN has enough to defend against this. So here we go, pushing across here, souL with his army. There's already a siege tank here, which makes it kind of problematic, right? Raven throws down the interference matrix as well, so that's going to be caught up. The Reapers on the other side are still going huge as STVs and mules are being dropped. And KeeN continue to just clean on up. Liberator in the main base. It's actually not a great map for Liberator usage because there's no kind of space to hide in terms of behind the mineral or behind the base. Obviously here he just flies in and sieges right up, but if you wanted to try and save this, if there was no lighting, there wouldn't really be anywhere for it to go, as those units on the other side of the map are just continuing to deal so much damage that KeeN is able to take them. Now this map was based off of a Brood War map I seem to remember reading yesterday, and we have to the bottom right hand side the red Terran player. We have got KeeN up against the blue Terran in the top left hand side, souL. And this is going to start with a bit of a proxy, of course it is. You know, I feel like TvT is the worst matchup for testing maps sometimes, but it can also be the best with the ways that the marine tanks work and all of that, and it can get pretty interesting. Alright, we see this SCV coming in towards the upper left hand side then, another one as well. The Proxy T-Rex Reaper will be the opener. This map doesn't have a ton of openings in terms of Reaper usage. It's, you know, there's a couple of ups and there's a couple of downs. I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything all too crazy here. You know, it's not like some of the maps we saw yesterday where I feel like the Reaper play was like an absolute, like, not necessity, but it made so much sense because there's loads of area to use. This has a little bit of area, a couple different jump up points. I don't think it's anything too abusable, as souL will open without a command center early, so he does go double gas. That gives him the fastest factory possible, which is obviously very good for him. And obviously the faster the factory you have, the better that will generally turn out, because then you get the Hellion up that little bit quicker, you can defend a little bit more easily, and that begins to go a long way. So T-Rex Reaper here from KeeN. I'm just fingers crossed hoping that souL can kind of hold on against this for a little while, and that we get set up into a position where we can kind of transition at least a little bit to see some more of this map, because I definitely feel it's something that can happen fairly regularly actually with T-Rex Reaper. You know, you get in, you kill about 5 workers, you know, then you get defended, and the game kind of does go on from there. Expansions start to be found and figured out, and players start to get into the next little stage of the game. So SCV still just poking around towards the front as we see the first Reaper hopping up. Reaper of souL is about to pop out, has to pull that back and pull some SCVs in. Probably doesn't actually want the mule here, but needs to focus up on other things at the moment before he fixes that. Get the mule back to mine. Maybe he just doesn't realize where his screen is. Wow, definitely hasn't realized. That's huge. That's really painful here. As the 2 Reapers now jumping up, the SCVs going to be able to help keeping that Reaper alive. It pulls all the way back. I mean, this is the most dangerous part, and SCVs have to be pulled while you only have 1 Reaper. Then you get the Hellion and the other Reaper out, and it becomes a little bit easier for you. You know, the Hellion takes a few more shots, it takes the focus off of the Reapers. That's a nice grenade, though, hits Reaper and Hellion alike. And souL does lose a Reaper, while not quite getting the kill on that low-health Reaper of KeeN at the moment. That poor mule, man. All he wants to do is mine minerals. He's just not given a single chance. Oh! Not sure what souL's plan was there, sending the Reaper down to the low ground. It seems like he maybe wanted to get it across the map, but that's very risky. Well, he does have 2 Hellions alive, and so the thing is, though, 4 Reapers are kind of at that point where they actually start dealing a lot of damage to Hellions. Oh, that was a good shot from the Hellions, though, because the Reapers were in a line. Just imagine you had another Reaper here as well as, you know, as souL right now. If you had another Reaper as well that didn't just die, you would have gotten rid of another couple of those Reapers very quickly and easily here. Another Hellion showing up, but again, they're not really lined up at all, and so the Hellion goes down very quick to this amount of Reapers. That, unfortunately, is a very quick series to start the day, as Collision Course gets the 2